Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into something pretty big happening in the digital space.
That's right.
OpenAI, the folks behind ChatGPT, they're launching their World project here in the US. And this isn't just another app. It's a digital identity thing tied up with crypto. And get this, it uses iris scanning to prove you're human online.
Exactly. It sounds futuristic, maybe even a bit sci-fi. And for you, our listener, wanting to stay sharp without getting bogged down in loads of articles, we're going to unpack this U.S. launch.
Yeah, what does it actually mean? What are the ripples?
And the big debates around it. Our mission today really is simple. Get a clear picture of World's potential impact, especially on privacy, now that it's landing stateside. We're drawing on the latest reporting here.
Okay, let's get down to it then. What is World exactly? It does have that sci-fi ring to it.
Well, in essence, it's OpenAI's venture into digital identity, mixed with cryptocurrency. The core piece is a device they call an orb.
An orb, okay.
Yeah, and this orb scans your iris. That scan generates a unique biometric marker for you.
Right.
And sometimes, when you sign up, you might get some crypto tokens. Could be an incentive, maybe part of a bigger idea, like universal basic income later on. It's not entirely clear yet.
So you get your eye scanned, and that proves you're, not a bot. Why? What's the driving force here?
The stated goal, basically, is to create a reliable way to verify humanness. We're seeing so much AI now, right?
Everywhere.
Yeah, AI creating content, mimicking people online. So the argument goes, we need a solid way to tell who's real and who's AI. World wants to be that tech solution.
Okay, I can sort of see the logic with AI becoming so good. But I've already seen some pretty strong pushback. Not everyone seems excited about iris scans for ID and crypto.
That's putting it mildly. It's a huge point. Privacy activists are really raising alarms. Nick Altman from Factor DAO, he flat out called it the opposite of privacy, said it was a trap.
Oh, strong words.
Very. And the concerns, they mostly boil down to how this iris data, this biometric marker, is collected, stored, and crucially protected. People are worried about security, how it might be used down the line. It's sensitive stuff.
And this isn't just like a few concerned voices, is it? I heard World has hit roadblocks internationally.
Oh, absolutely. It's faced major scrutiny, even outright bans in quite a few places. India, South Korea, Italy, Colombia, Argentina, Portugal, Kenya, Indonesia, they've all reportedly looked into it.
It's a long list.
It is. And then Spain, Hong Kong, and Brazil, they've banned it completely.
Banned it? Why?
Often it's worries about the data collection itself, not enough clarity for users on how their iris scan will be used, and concerns about exploiting vulnerable people, maybe drawn in by the crypto offer without fully understanding the data trade-off.
Okay, so this global reaction definitely sets a precedent.
It does. And given all that pushback and the different ways countries are handling it, it makes the U.S. launch even more interesting because our legal landscape is, well, different.
That list of countries really makes you think about the risks, doesn't it?
It does. And groups like Privacy International, they actually backed legal action against World in Kenya. They stress how dangerous biometric tech can be without really strong legal rules and safeguards.
Dangerous how?
They point to the potential for discrimination, for profiling people, even for mass surveillance if the controls aren't rock solid. Amnesty International also flagged concerns back in 2021 about discrimination and flawed methods in biometrics, even hinting at links to troubling historical theories.
So with all that as the backdrop, World lands in the U.S. What makes the American scene so tricky?
The big thing is the U.S. doesn't have one single federal law that specifically regulates biometric data like iris scans. It's not like the EU's GDPR, for example.
Right.
Cyber attorney Andrew Rosso pointed this out. The legal situation is fragmented. It's state by state.
Patchwork, basically.
Exactly, a patchwork. And that's huge for you, the listener. Because if you're in, say, Georgia, the specific legal protection for your world biometric data is way less than for someone in Texas or California.
So my rights could differ wildly depending on my zip code.
Pretty much. The accountability of OpenAI, your options, if something goes wrong with your data, it really depends on where you are.
You mentioned the launch cities, Atlanta, Austin, L.A., Miami, Nashville, San Francisco. Where do they fall in this patchwork?
Okay, so out of those, only Texas and California have specific state laws covering biometric data protection.
And the others? Georgia, Tennessee, Florida.
For users there, it mostly falls back on general federal laws about transparency and fairness. But those laws don't have specific rules about iris scans. It's much less defined.
And even in Texas, with a law, you mentioned potential issues.
Yeah, that's a really key detail. Texas's law, the Capture or Use of Biometric Identifier Act, It doesn't allow individuals like you or me to sue a company directly if they break the rules.
So who enforces it?
Only the state attorney general. So as Rosso noted, how well your data is protected in Texas under this world system could really depend on the AG's priorities at the time, their resources, their willingness to pursue a case.
It does feel a bit uncertain. Your privacy for something so personal hinges on political will or resources.
It really highlights the inconsistency in U.S. privacy protection. Some users could definitely be more exposed than others, depending on enforcement in their state.
But hang on, it's not all doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
I did see some experts looking closely at World felt the privacy tech itself might be okay.
That's true, and it's an important counterpoint. Tomas Stachek, who's with the Ethereum Foundation world, is built on Ethereum. Remember, he apparently spent over 100 hours analyzing it.
Wow, okay.
And he concluded it was very promising and actually much more robust and privacy-focused than he first thought.
Interesting. Anyone else?
Yeah, Paul Dillon Ennis, another Ethereum researcher, thinks the tech itself is likely strong in privacy terms. But he did also mention the vibe, the Black Mirror-ness of the orb, and the whole concept could be off-putting for people.
Right. So the tech might be solid, but the idea of scanning your eye with a shiny orb still feels a bit creepy.
That seems to be the assessment, yes. There might be a disconnect between the potential intrusiveness people feel and the actual privacy measures built into the system.
That Black Mirror factor is definitely something to watch for public acceptance. Speaking of acceptance, where could World actually get a foothold in the U.S.? Where might we see it take off?
Well, we have a pretty clear indicator from Japan. World partnered with Tinder there.
Tinder, the dating app.
Yep, the most popular one in Japan. And the angle is it gives Tinder users there a privacy-first way to prove they're real humans.
I get it. So instead of wondering if that profile is fake or a bot, you could have this, verified human status via World. That could actually tackle a real problem on dating apps.
Precisely. And now think about the U.S. Imagine World striking similar deals with the big players here. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge.
That would be huge reach.
Massive. Just Tinder alone has, around 7.8 million monthly active users in the U.S.? Add in Bumble and Hinge, and you're talking about potentially tens of millions of users whose unique biometric data, their iris scans, could be enrolled. That's a huge slice of the online dating population.
Tens of millions. Wow. That scale really brings the privacy stakes into sharp focus. Are there precedents in the U.S. for this kind of thing, big biometric data cases?
Yes, definitely relevant history here. That recent $1.4 billion settlement Google paid in Texas comes to mind.
$1.4 billion. What was that about?
Lawsuits claimed Google was tracking user searches and locations, but also, crucially, collecting facial recognition data without proper consent. It's a massive number, showing how valuable this data is seen to be, and that states can enforce these laws sometimes.
$1 billion certainly gets your attention, and it's not just a Texas thing.
No. There are ongoing court cases involving biometrics companies in places like Illinois and New York, too. And you're seeing pushes in various state legislatures to put more restrictions on collecting biometric data. So there's definitely growing awareness and legal activity.
Okay, so pulling this all together for our listeners, if you had to summarize the key things to take away from this deep dive on World's U.S. launch, what would they be?
Right. Okay. First, you've got this core tension. The promise of proving you're human online, which seems increasingly needed with AI, versus the really significant privacy risks of handing over your iris scan.
The fundamental trade-off. Got it.
Second, the U.S. legal side is messy. No single federal rule means your protection varies hugely state by state. That patchwork is critical to understand. Some of you listening might have strong protections, others much less so.
Okay, state laws matter. What else?
Third, don't forget the differing views on the tech itself. Lots of alarm bells from privacy groups, yes, but some tech experts who've dug in think the privacy engineering might actually be quite good, so it's not black and white.
Right, nuance is key.
And finally, the potential for rapid adoption. Partnerships, especially in areas like online dating, could mean millions of Americans interacting with this very quickly. That brings all the questions about data security and use right into the mainstream.
So we've covered the tech, the fears, the legal maze, the potential spread. It really leads to one central question, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The big question hanging over all this is, can a global digital ID system based on something as personal as your iris truly balance that need for online verification with our fundamental right to privacy, especially here in the U.S. with its fragmented legal system?
A really significant question for our times. And it makes you think, doesn't it? As AI weaves itself deeper into our lives, how are you going to navigate these trade-offs? The convenience versus the security of our most unique data. And what part will projects like World play in shaping whatever future that is? Definitely something to keep thinking about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.